Hello my beautiful friend, it's King Gabriel again, here for another impromptu video. And this video is number 36, I believe. The purpose of this one is to bring awareness to light. And when I say light, it may sound like I'm speaking of electrical light, your light bulb, etc. But I'm speaking of a different type of light. And I want to just speak about the choice for light versus the choice for anything else, and why that's even a choice, right? So here's what's really happening with this whole light thing. Everybody signs off love and light and all of this stuff, and it's a good way to, it seems like a good way to make people a little happier, a little chirpier. But the reality behind this whole light thing is not really just about some kind of mental process where we feel that we're all happy and stuff because the light has come. It's more so the understanding that when we sit in a blank space, a meditative space, there is something that is received by us. Now, because we are beings that function within the realm of perception, as in we have something to perceive with, a body, and we have relationships, and therefore we have a medium that we function in, we perceive light. That is one of the things that we perceive. And when I say light, in this case, you being able to see me is only because light is entering your physical eyes in a certain way, right? The image is then flipped and your mind is allowed to process that image and say that it sees this, right? Yet still, that is not the light that we're talking about. Physical eyes see what has been processed and output by the mind in the first place. So you're seeing, in a sense, what you already have inside, right? The inside is out. Therefore, the light I am talking about is the light that happens when the eyes are shut. When the eyes are shut, the energy that is to flow through the eyes for you to see in this world, or perceive, to be more accurate, is then flooded back into the subtle body eyes, or the third eye as some would call it, right? And if it's well calcified or whatever, you might not have visions initially, but that can be adjusted and can be taken care of with time and enough effort, right? But if it is open, right, then what happens is you instantly would have like images, maybe colors, you might have visions, etc. You might be able to see things around you that are in a realm that are just out of the realm of the physical body, right? And that is what light does. So, that being said, what light does is bring the awareness to us that we're not limited to a body. Anything that shows us we're not limited to a body is moving closer to divine consciousness. Because the idea of being limited to a body is what human consciousness is about. So we transcend human consciousness when we step into that place where we start to perceive light. And I mean light as in, you probably guessed by now, the light of the soul, or spiritual light. The light that is around us and everywhere. And I've had experiences in my journey where I've been able to see this light also through the physical eyes. And that's like a kind of, it's just a way of the soul irking you on in a way to keep going. Because sometimes what happens through meditation and the constant devotion is that sometimes the student can get a little frustrated and feel like, well, they're not making any progress, etc. So for the soul, it's important that it keeps the student engaged. And so sometimes you might have little gifts come to you where you get to see a little something, you have an experience that's so awesome that you can't even explain it. You try to tell it to somebody, but it seems like some fantasy story because it's so out there. But that's all right. It's good for us to have those experiences because it's about our personal journey and moving forward. And in our individualized journey, which is the personal journey, we can then affect others with who we're being because of that experience. Not so much try to get them to believe that what happened to us was true, because in reality, what happened to us is not really true for them in that instant, because they're walking their path. So we can't convince them that, oh, it's the absolute and everything, and that's been my experience, but I can't convince anyone of that. What I can is with my attitudes about it, and in who I'm being, be able to express things that may lead that person to have their own experience. And then wonderful, they've experienced it and there's no telling them or convincing of anything. So all that just to say that light is this faculty that we have within us. And if you were to meditate, you'd probably drop on it one day randomly, but it joins us, because if one sits and witnesses the light inside and then realizes, first you'll realize it inside because that's where it comes from. It comes from your connection to your source directly, and you outsource it everywhere. But when also you realize that that is in everybody around you and you perceive light, then your perception is heightened towards divine consciousness. And that consciousness is the consciousness of light. If you were to study, for instance, the Kabbalah and those sorts of texts, which are very valid as well, right? I'm not close-minded at all. It's open. All religions and all different little spiritual things that come out, they have value. And it's good to be open-minded because universal consciousness comprises everything, right? Now, there are sections in human consciousness, there are divisions in divine consciousness as well, but universal consciousness includes everything. So to outcast anything and say it's wrong is actually a way of, again, projecting. So, when dealing with this idea of light in Kabbalah, you would see that there is the light from Absolute, right, which is the highest level basically, and that could equate to absolute if you really think about it. And it drops down the different levels, and as it drops down to different level, it takes on certain colors. It might be gold, it might start off as white. It starts off as clear, no color whatsoever, because there's no perception. It's not dual in nature at all. Then it drops down to white light, golden light, and it drops levels until it comes down to all these different colors, right? And we experience all these wonderful different colors from all these different worlds that blend, and therefore we receive perception of all those worlds in a sense through our world. But real light, spiritual light, is actually indiscernible to the senses. It's not going to be a color at all, and the highest we could get with perception is going to be golden and then white light, right? But when we get to that place, it's not like of course we've become enlightened because we see the light everywhere, and being enlightened brings you joy, because if you see light everywhere, then you know everything is good, you feel comfortable, and therefore you smile, you shine. But that's not the end of the journey. That's just everybody. A lot of people nowadays are enlightened. It's not for the special few. A lot of people are enlightened at this point. But being enlightened is not the end of the journey. It's just the point where you recognize, okay, light is truth on a perceptual level, right? And perception itself is not true. We still have to go beyond perception. We have to go to knowledge. To go to knowledge, we hit that light spot. We know that everyone is connected, everything is connected, we're at ease. But then the communication that happens on that level between the beings, when they become one and they realize that all is one, then they rise to that level of knowledge where you're safe, you know you're protected, you're directly connected to the source of energy, to the source of all that is good, all that is. That is a whole other level, right? And that can come in a realization, or what we call a revelation, and it comes quite instantly. It's not something that we do or we work for. It's something that comes when we reside here. It's sort of a gift in a sense, right? And it's a gift from us to us. So all that just to say that light itself is a wonderful thing for us in perception. It creates miracles, it creates lovely experiences, it creates joy in a sense, because love can flow freely between two people that are exactly alike. And the flowing of love is joy. The presence of love is joy. So we get that joy, we feel really good, we feel awesome, but at the same time, there's always more to be experienced. We still have to be open-minded, we still have to be all-inclusive, and all these things are, in a sense, divine qualities. We could label them all these different things, but really they're one thing. They are the expression of love and the extension of love from one to a seeming other. But really, it's just the extension of love to everything. Trees emanate love. Bricks emanate love. Why? Because they consist of love. They're made of that. And we call it love, but it's really just that universal consciousness energy flowing. That's the best way that we could define it without getting caught in the ideas of human consciousness. So, I just really wanted to express that to you and let you know that the choice for light is actually the choice for truth within yourself and within others. If you were to allow yourself to perceive the light continually, you would find yourself in a great state of joy. You'd find others in joy around you. you would see that people think, when they just think of you, their mind lights up, they feel really great, just thinking of you. And you thinking of them would bring them joy as well, because it's communication, it's true communication without the body. Just wanted to speak about that today, and I hope that that helps you on your journey. And I'd really love to be in communication with you as well. Eternal love and infinite peace.